Okay, we're going on an expedition. Again. I feel ill-equipped to save the colony, but quite frankly, we're supposed to be out of food this month, so let's see if we can help. We're gonna forage in the valley. 8 events remaining, 7 collectibles remaining, boss event remaining. Let's go! Alright, come on, Hot-Eye. Help me. We have to get to the boss event. That is our one and only goal this time. Okay. Okay, so we got an event over this way. Or, if we go this way, what do we got? It's probably another event, I'd imagine. I'd reckon. And that looks useful, right? I mean, it's a plant. How harmful can a plant be? Hello, plants. You find a triplet. A large, tasty, plant? Kind of. You've heard it's sort of like an animal, too. Like a lot of creatures on Rotumna, it kind of defies classification. Whatever it is, it's huge. It's practically taller than you are. We will note its location and move on, maybe? So that way we can get the actual professionals to do this. Oddly, when you come back later, it's not there. You have to record the wrong coordinates. Drats. I'm the worst at this. Okay, hello. Whatever you are. You come across a veritable feast of berry bushes. Gloopy, sagging bushes with enormous purple berries. They look delicious. And you gotta research them first. +1 to mental cards. One select gets +2. Okay, that's relatively useful, actually. Boom. 10. Sheesh. Okay. I mean, we might as well do this. Yeah. Any way we can, like, make us... Okay, that's a pair, at least. That's something. And actually, if that's going to be the case, might as well do the town show and get a 3 of a kind going. Yeah. However, can I swap out gear, like, mid-thing? Oh, okay. Fair enough. Alright, that's actually a pretty good round 1. I'm feeling happy. Alright, mushwood harvesting. +1 for the other gems. We got some gems. We do have gems. Need to 5, 5, 5. Huh? Oh. Ooh. 8. It doesn't really help in a particular way. Obviously, we should swap like this. And we could maybe do this. Get another 7. Okay. Okay. Do this. Nope, that... Okay, do this. There we go. Okay, alright, I'm back in it, somehow. Next round, let's go. Okay. Well done. We could do this, this, and that actually makes all of these better, and they become that. Let me do that. Okay, is there a better way to do this? What if we just did this? Yeah, that sucks. That absolutely sucks. Okay. Clearly the wrong choice. The other option, you could do like this. But that's not as good, clearly. Yeah, I can't really think of a better way to go about this. 15 stress isn't much, though, so we can push through on this. Okay. Oh, these purple berries? They're not even the Holopedia as berries. Some kind of explosive seed pod? You take a few steps back, careful not to set them off. I guess we should probably set them off. We could harvest them. We could use them. Now let's set them off from a safe distance. You shield yourself behind a tree and throw rocks at the bushes until, with a satisfying pop, the explosive berries begin to trigger in a chain reaction. Each burst sends seeds flying in all directions like shrapnel, setting off nearby berry bushes. You then carefully cut a path through the thicket and continue on your way. Okay, well, I guess that could have gone worse. Okay. Okay, there's the boss thing. Awesome. You decide to take a shortcut through the jungle to a path you were sure was just up ahead. And now you're lost. Everything looks the same here. The plants are too high to see any landmarks, and you swear some of them move around when you aren't looking. You try to check your positioning with your holopalm, but the damn thing isn't working, and won't connect to long-range communications either. Typical. Utopia did warn you the comms were flaky out here. You think you can tell north from the positions of the two suns, but that's it. Well, I guess we're gonna start walking. This is impossible. Every mush tree looks the same. You tie your scarf around one, hoping it'll at least give you one landmark. We'll go south. You think you recognize this mush tree? Maybe it's hard to tell. Go south. In frustration, you bang your hollow palm against your other palm. Essentially, you're clapping alone in the wilderness like a fool. It seems to do the trick, though. Your hollow palm registers the signal from base camp and brings up a map and compass. Well, at least you're out of here. Staring at all this jungle has made you a little more perceptive to the subtle differences. Maybe next time you won't get so lost. Okay. Oh, let's grab this. That'll be useful. Blobber fruit. Yep. A yellow flower. Anything else I should have? Yellow flower. I will take everything I can get before going into this boss thing. A yellow flower. Gracias. I'm surprised that's not a thing I can pick up. I need to be more observant with these sorts of things. Look, a blobber fruit. Just laying there. Just laying there. It's absurd. Alright, well, anyways. It's time to save the colony from starvation. Let's go, Solana. Try not to glitch out on me, game. Thanks. Appreciated. Alright, let's go. You're alone, exploring an unmapped area of the Valley of Vertigo. The pollen is thick here, and your air filter is overworked. A warning light has been flashing orange for the last 10 minutes. But there are plants here that you've never seen before. Flowers with intense rainbow hues and strange lumps of fungal matter, which pulse as if they're breathing. You cut some samples. Utopia will totally give you extra kudos for these. The pollen is especially thick up ahead, deep fuchsia and shimmering with color. Everything here seems to dance with tiny flecks of reflected light. It's kind of magical. Let's press forward. You push forward into the suffocating pink fog. It's so thick you can only see a few meters ahead. You follow the glimmering towards where it is densest. You come upon a glade filled with what seem to be strange topiaries. They loom out of the glittering fog, each in the shape of an animal. They're all formed from the same spongy, glittering pink substance and dotted with finger-length fungal growths. You're so distracted you almost fall into a large hole in the center of the glade. We should check for danger first. You've seen plants like animals before. Are these topiaries actually predators waiting for you to get close? You watch them carefully from the edge of the glade. They're completely still, not breathing. There are no life signs. Good. Your envirosuit beeps a warning. Let's take a sample of the fungus. That seems promising. As you bend down to take a sample, you realize the dense, shining haze is coming from the topiaries. The fog is seeping out of the holes at the end of each fungal growth. You break off a few of the growths into a collection vial. You remember helping Tang for extra credits in biology class. She said that shimmer, the seasonal illness that affects your dad, and pollen, is some kind of colonizing fungal growth. Could this be related? Your envirosuit beeps a louder warning. I gotta suspect the topiaries, okay? The topiary you choose is a large dog-sized quadruped, which appears to be kneeling. It's far too lifelike. As you get close, you realize with growing revulsion that this was once a living creature. Now encased or transformed entirely into the sparkling pink fungus, it's dead. The more you think about it, the more you're sure this is related to the shimmer. I feel like if I stay any longer, I'm going to die. But I have to know what's in the hole. At the bottom of the hole is a cave. It slopes down gradually towards the cave floor, only about 4 meters below, then disappears underground. You aren't sure how far the cave continues past that point. It's dark down there, obviously, but not silent. There's some kind of strange rhythmic whirring coming from further inside the cave. You hold up your palm and shine your hollow palm's light. The cave floor glitters with pink fungus, and the air is ominously choked with it. Do we climb into the cave? And there's clearly some sort of like Medusa-style creature lurking around here that turns things into fungus. I think we've seen enough. We should go. As you turn to leave, your filter light begins flashing red, and an alarm sounds inside your helmet. You realize with horror that you've been in the dense pollen too long. You start sneezing as the sparkling dust seeps into your breathing mask. It feels like tiny knives in your sinuses and a heavy choking pain in your lungs. You lurch back towards the checkpoint, barely able to breathe. Your helmet is so clogged that you don't think air is getting in at all. You can see it clearly, as if seeing a vision. If you take your mask off, surely you'll be able to breathe better. Something in your terrified brain clings to this idea. If you just take off your mask and breathe in the pollen, you'll be fine. Everything will be fine. No, keep it on. No, don't go gently into that pink night. You're hyperventilating. You can't get enough oxygen through your clogged filter. Darkness closes in from the edges of your vision until you're seeing the world as if through a long tunnel. As you near the checkpoint, Utopia runs out to help you. You instinctively turn back, unthinking, wanting to return to the fog, to those strange statues. You collapse in her arms. Several days later, you wake. You don't remember much, just a great choking heaviness in your lungs, and the world swallowing you up and closing over your head. You have snippets of conscious thought from the last few days, but it's hard to tell if it was a dream or not. I lost 5 toughness and gained status injured. Ooh. You remember Tammy sitting by your bedside, her cool hand on your forehead? But she's dead. That part must have been a dream. It feels like you had a fever once, hot and sticky, achy all over, like you've been boiled alive. You're still terribly weak, and there's a pain in your chest, like someone has been sitting on it. It takes all your energy just to breathe. You live, but your body took a serious hit, and may never quite be the same. Let's get some rest. I'm back! Honestly, things could have gone better. It's been 3 seasons of heavy food rationing, getting more and more strict as the year dragged on, and the fields continued to struggle. You've been wasting away. You all have. It's not just the lack of calories. There just aren't enough vitamins and good stuff in the food you are eating. Your muscles ache all the time. Sometimes you feel strangely euphoric, filled with inexplicable energy, but often it feels like there are weights tied to your shoulders pulling you down. You don't have the energy to do it anymore. Even the prospect of getting up to find food feels like too much effort. Better just to lie down and accept it. Despite being so tired, you can't fall asleep. You spend entire days in a dazed fog. At least you hardly feel the hunger now. For months, the idea of food plagued your thoughts, each one like a dagger in your stomach. They've been replaced by an odd sense of peace. Now you feel half tethered to this reality, floating above everything like a balloon. Your friends stop working and retreat to their quarters. You lie to each other on the holonet, all saying you're okay, just taking it easy, waiting for the harvest. Well, the harvest came and went as meager as ever. Your mother still hasn't given up and never rests, never stops working as much as your dad begs her to. She must be sleeping in geoponics because you hardly see her in the family quarters anymore. From where you lie, nestled in your bed, in your cozy figure, or fuge, whatever it is, fugia, it all seems like far, far too much effort to bother with. And yet, you gotta do something. Drag your butt out of bed. You try, but end up collapsing off your bunk. You barely have the energy to climb back into bed. You don't feel pain or fear, just a strong urge to lie there and stare at a poster of a pink cat on the wall, which you do for hours. You're pretty sure that behind those yellow disc eyes, it's trying to tell you something about the nature of the universe, the cycles of space and time. Have you been here before? Or is this the first time? Your mom comes to your bedside and tries to feed you some of her rations. She looks like hell, sallow-eyed and gaunt, but she refuses to stop working. She says she can't keep the rations down anyway. They upset her stomach. Please, Solana, she whispers. Please, eat. You could refuse it. We'll take it. You struggle to choke down your mom's rations. Every bite is easier than the last. You can feel the fog lifting as you begin to regain your strength. After a week of bed rest and double rations, your head clears. You can walk again. But your mother still refuses to rest. Both your parents feel responsible for this famine, but as head of geoponics, your mom takes it personally. She's been skipping meals, relying on water and pressed soy bar rations, just enough calories to keep her body moving, but not enough to stay healthy. Yet she never lets up, working herself to the bone, barely even sleeping, increasingly sallow-eyed and gaunt. You and your dad try to slow her down, but, well, she's a stubborn woman. If not her, she says, then who? You and your dad are in the lounge, slowly sipping your vegetable broth, when there's a commotion at the doors. Someone's run in, gasping for breath, yelling for you and your father to come to geoponics. You run over, knowing deep in the pit of your stomach that something terrible has happened. When you see the faces of the agriculturists, your mom's people, you know that feeling is real. Your dad sees her body first. He lets out a cry like something you've never heard before, a deep, unimaginable pain dragged up from the darkest parts of where fear lives. Your dad falls to his knees beside the frail body of your mother. He pulls her into his arms and sobs, wretched and agonized. You don't even know what to think. Your mom always seemed larger than her body. But seeing her now, there's nothing there. Just a fragile shell. They tell you she didn't even cry out. She just went to her knees and lay down in the dirt. And that was it. She's gone. Your mother's body is taken to the incinerator room, and that night the colony gathers to pay their respects. Do you join them? Yeah, it would be improper not to. Like Tammy's funeral, the incinerator room has been cleared, and a wreath of flowers placed over the mouth of the organics recycler. They're white astrantia, your mother's favorite flower, carefully carried from Earth with the hopes of it flourishing on Vertumna, just like you. You stand with your father and Aunt Anne. Udicott and the rest of the council are here as well, including Rhett. You're surprised to see tears rolling down his face. He's such a hard-ass in the garrison. Cal is here with all the other agriculturists. The rest of the colony waits at the canteen to offer their condolences after the service. Governor Udicott gives the eulogy. As a colony, we share our blessings, she begins solemnly. However, today, in sad company, we gather to share the burden of our grief. Fluorescence was born on Earth, but she more than many of us exemplified the spirit of our endeavor to bring life to beyond the stars. She bore life, not only in her body, but bringing it forth from the ground. She so faithfully attended. The debt we owe her is the kind that can never be repaid. She continues. It is with deep and unbearable grief that we must continue on without her, in awe and respect of her sacrifice, the depth of which was never expected of her, but which she did not expect of anyone else. It is on her strong shoulders that she carries us still. Udicott closes the door to the recycler, and the particle disintegrator begin to reclaim the molecules that once formed your mother. Your father squeezes your shoulder, making a small, choked-off noise of pain. As a community, we remember fluorescence. As a community, we return her body to the soil that nourishes us. In this way, her sacrifice is recognized in the manifest body of the colony. The ceremony is adjourned to the canteen, where a somber wake is held in your mother's memory. There's enough food to dull the emotions, and your empty stomach only reminds you of her unfinished work. Your father is the new head of geoponics. In a few hours he receives your mother's remains so that he can add them to the colony's precious supply of brown soil from Earth. You touch the cool lid of the container, marveling that your mother could fit in such a small box. You don't have to be okay, your dad says quietly. His voice is thick with emotion. I know. I'm not. I have to keep going where she left off, but if you can, you should take some time off. And I think from a mechanic's perspective, we kind of have to, so we're going to take the month off. But we're probably not far from starving to death ourselves, honestly. Glow. The prospect of just going back to work like everything is normal is too much to handle. The suns dip below the horizon, and Glow begins. You end up spending the whole month alternating between sleeping, scrolling the HoloNet, and staring into space. It's restful, at least. A few days after the funeral, surveyors return with an unexpected bounty from the Valley of Vertigo. It's enough to survive for another month. Until the new year, maybe, if you keep rationing. The colony will continue to limp along, but without your mother. The roar wakes you. It would wake the dead. It shakes the walls, rumbles through the ship's hull, and makes your heart skip a beat. You're paralyzed by a sudden clench of fear in your guts. Through your porthole window, you hear metal screeching and people shouting. Then another roar, guttural and rumbling, like the sound of a mountain collapsing. Something enormous is out there. We have to pull our weight. We will run out to face it. Gain status heroic. You don't know what gives you the courage, but you run out to the fields to face the horrible creature, Oh my goodness. It has no face. In place of a face, or even a head, its body just unzips, revealing a mess of writhing pink tentacles and blinking eyes pocked with jagged asymmetrical teeth. It stands on 4 enormously powerful legs, each as wide across as the tree trunks, clinging to its back. And its thick slug-like tail are clumps of lichen that glow faintly in the night. The creature is nearly twice the height of a greenhouse. It's standing on top of a flattened one, the wreckage of lattice and plants all around. Flickers of light from plasma rifles and stun gloves light it from underneath, and the stench of ozone is thick in the air. You see an enemy and her brother come, darting in and around its legs with their twin shocks of red hair. The faceless creature lurches into another greenhouse, oblivious to the soldiers trying to hurt it away. The monster left a trail of destruction from where it smashed right through the walls. Smaller creatures are pouring through the gap and heading towards... You're heading straight to command! You watch helplessly as the hordes of animals storm command, sneaking through torn away panels and smashing through windows. It's too far away to hear the screams, but Governor Uticott is inside. You have to do something. We can save Governor Uticott. We can help an enemy in calm. We can fight the faceless monster on your own. How the heck are we gonna do that? Okay. This is gonna sound cold and harsh, but Uticott, I respect the woman. She has led us well. However, monsters or not, she probably doesn't have much time left anyway. I know, it's cold, it's harsh. But when you're an exocolonist, when you're fighting for your life and the life of the colony, these are the things you have to take into account. We're gonna help an enemy in calm. You run towards geoponics, picking up a handful of rocks as you cross through the barren fields. When Com sees you, he gestures for you to flee. Get out of here, Salada, he says. You're gonna get yourself killed. You grip your rocks in defiance. You're sick of being told to hide like a child. You want to help. Combat challenge. Hard. Look, I'm well rested. 88. That actually doesn't seem that bad. All things considered. 1 card selected plus 2. Incredible. Thank you. Okay, how are we going to go about this? And I think for now... Okay, so we could do like a this sort of deal. Or this sort of deal. I don't think it really matters. It's not really a good first round, but it'll clear the way for a better next round, hopefully. Is there anything we could do to easily... I mean, we could use the yellow flower or the xenoegg to change this to make it... But yeah, then we're just trading out a flesh for a 3 of a kind, which I think are basically worth the same, so we'll just use this and go to the next round. See, this is what you like to see. I think what we're going to do here, we'll go 6, we'll go 6, we'll go 5. Okay, hold on a second. So we got 6, 7, 8. I can live with that. I mean, 40. That's not bad. I don't think there's anything better we could do. Yeah. Alright, next round. Alright, just gotta get 37. 37. Okay, we can get 4, 5, 6. That's a straight, at least. This can be like a flush sort of deal. And this exists. 32? Could we do better? Maybe, maybe. Another possibility, we could do... We got 4, 5... Okay, but that becomes an 8, right? Okay. In theory, hold on. So 4, 5, plus 1, 6. This is also a 6, and then 3. 33. Now here's one thing we could do. We could give this a plus 1 to make it a 7. Yeah. That seems pretty good. Plus 1, but you become 7. And now that's a straight up win! Huzzah! You try your hardest, but even with the full force of the defense squad, you can barely keep it contained near the farms. You dart in and around the battle, throwing rocks and making noise to keep the abomination's attention away from the rest of the colony. Its tentacles whip around, slapping the ground and knocking into people, picking them up and throwing their helpless bodies like dolls only to be crushed under its massive trunk-like feet. The fields are littered with bodies of the fallen. Sweat stings your eyes, but you somehow stay on your feet. Others aren't so lucky. Solana, watch out! Com cries out. And you look up just in time to dodge the wet slap of a tentacle, tripping over a body and sprawling to the dirt yourself. The faceless makes a horrible noise from deep inside its craw, flecking you with spittle as your guts liquefy from the near mist. You're close enough to feel the sick heat radiating off of it. It doesn't have a face, but you realize with horror that it sees you. The beam of a plas rifle arcs over your head, and the faceless roars again and turns its terrible attention to Com. You scream and uselessly cover your head as it lumbers over you. As you scramble to your feet, you see Com go flying through the air. He lands a few feet away with a sickening wet crunch. The enemy cries in horror as she runs to Com's side, but it's too late. His body is bent at an unnatural angle, his eyes open and his face frozen in stupefied horror. He looks unreal, like a wax mannequin. He's just gone, like that. An enemy lets out a primal scream of pain, and you can see the thought ignite in her mind, contorting her face with ugly fury as she stands up to launch herself at the Faceless again. You grab her arm, and she yells at you in wordless rage before collapsing to her knees, throwing her body over comms and sobbing like the scared teenager she is. You can only stand and watch. You hear a colossal cracking noise, and look up to see the Faceless stumble towards the stratospheric. With a roar that shakes your very molecules, it loses its balance for the last time, and falls onto the ship. Metal screams as the ship buckles and gives way. Whole pieces of the quarter's wing shear off as your home opens like a tin can, spilling its contents into the square. The strato lurches, then collapses under the creature's weight. The abomination is slain, but as wails of grief join the whimpers of the dying, you have to wonder, at what cost? The council calls for an all-colony meeting to face the aftermath of the attack. In the oppressive gloom of glow, you gather near engineering with the other survivors. It is one of the few buildings still standing. The corpse of the Faceless still sits in the caved-in wreckage of the stratospheric, spilling its flaccid pink tentacles from its horrible zipper-toothed maw. It's already beginning to stink. You can't forget what you saw. Keep between rounds. Destruction of the strato. Oh, wow. Well, that's annoying. I'm always gonna have this? Sheesh. Your mind keeps replaying that terrible moment. The face was rearing up and obscuring the sky. An enemy and her brother looking so small before it. Governor Udicott was killed by the smaller creatures that swarmed command during the attack. In her absence, Seek addresses the colony. The council acknowledges the bravery of the defense squad, citing their heroism and finally taking down the Faceless. Finally, as in... Has this been attacking us multiple times in a row, or finally as in just in the context of this one attack? Geoponics is gone. The greenhouse is destroyed, and fields trampled. After a year of suffering, starving, and only barely scraping by. Not just back where you started. It's even worse. Everything your mom sacrificed herself for. Gone in one night. The entire front half of the stratospheric has been destroyed. The living quarters, the canteen, the garrison, the lounge, even the creche. It's all gone. It's only by some stroke of luck that people hiding in the creche weren't all killed. Seek solemnly reads the names of those who lost their lives. Too many, including Governor Udicott. You all stand for a moment of silence. You feel the weight of loss like a blow to your chest. An enemy and her family cry out when her brother Calm's name is called, and their quiet sobbing continues through the silence. With living quarters destroyed, everyone moves into the engineering wing for shelter. You're crowded into the classroom with other families. The adults try to make it seem like a sleepover, but you're all still so shaken. An enemy cries out about her brother and screams at anyone who tries to comfort her. Eventually, you just ignore her grief, as painful as it is to hear her sobbing at night. You feel like you've been awake for days, and you'll never fully sleep again. You try, but you keep jerking awake, crying out in fear. Eventually you fall asleep, sitting up, held in your father's arms. Your sleep is fitful, but mercifully dreamless. Rest for now. Well then. Yeah, things aren't great. At all. Just gone. I'm starting to have serious doubts on what even is left? Geoponics, command! The residential area. We have engineering. And that's it? What will become of us?